children. I think you all are safe and fine by staying at home. In previous class, we have discussed about the water and availability of water, sources of water, and where we are going to use the water. Now, in this class, we will discuss about the water and properties of water. So we are having two types of properties. One is physical properties and next is chemical properties. Now we will discuss about the physical properties of water. So in these physical properties, if any substance which undergoes change in appearance or text, color, melting point, boiling point, density, solubility, and etc. So here that means any substance that is changing appearance means, example, I'm taking a piece of paper. If I'm tearing it, so automatically it is changing into two pieces. Again, still I'm tearing it, it will become a small piece. That means it is changing its appearance, texture, and color. Sometimes the color may change. Odor means smell. And if I'm taking the water, melting point and the boiling point. Melting point means if ice changes to water and water changes to water vapor, that is called boiling point. That means at certain temperature, ice changes to water, that is called melting point. And if water changes to water vapor, that is called boiling point. Density means mass per volume. If 1 gram of mass is taken and how much area or how much volume it is occupying, that is called density. Solubility. Solubility means dissolving as other substances is called solubility. In further classes, we'll discuss about the solubility. Now here, nature. That means, example, if I'm taking the water here, nature. So here I'm taking one table and I'm explaining the property nature. So here the nature of the water will be transparent, colorless, odorless, tasteless. Okay, if I'm taking the pure water, it is a bit transparent, no color, no odor. Odor means smell and taste. So here the freezing point of water. That means if I'm taking a glass of water, I'm placing it in a deep freezer or in the fridge. Then water changes to ice at 0 degrees Celsius. Here the changing of water to ice is called freezing. And at 0 degrees Celsius, the water will changes to ice. So here the freezing point of water is 0. Boiling point. The change of water to water vapor when some heat is supplied or directly through sunlight also, then that is called boiling. So the temperature at which water changes to water vapor, then that point is called boiling point. Boiling point of water is 100 degrees Celsius. Density means mass per volume. So here the mass, if I'm taking 1 gram of mass per volume, so here the density is measured in 1 gram per cubic centimeter at 4 degrees. That means 1 gram, if I'm taking 1 cubic centimeter, it is going to occupy. That its temperature is at 4 degrees. At 4 degrees, it is going to occupy 1 gram of water. So here water has maximum density at 4 degrees Celsius, and above or below 4 degrees Celsius, it possesses less density. The maximum density possessed by water at 4 degrees. Children, at 4 degrees Celsius, the water possesses maximum density. If it is less than 4 degrees or if it is greater than 4 degrees, the temperature, that means the density will be less. Next is physical properties of water. Water is, that means if I'm taking pure water, in that no more impurities are present. That water is transparent. Transparent means we can see, example, I'm taking a glass. If I'm taking a glass, so we can see the outside object also. That is called transparent. Colorless. You already know the colorless, odorless, and tasteless. Example, so this is where, see here, this is the transparent. See, I'm seeing the inside of the water also. Next property is at normal atmospheric pressure, that is 76 centimeters mercury level or 760 mm Hg level, water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. That means if the atmospheric pressure is 760 millimeters, then water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. If it is more than 760 or less than 760, the boiling point of water will changes. At atmospheric pressure or at normal temperature, the water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. If the pressure is increased or the pressure is decreased, the temperature, that means the boiling point will also changes. So here freezing. So the density of ice at 0 degrees is 0.917 grams per milliliter. That means 0.917 grams per milliliter. So ice floats in water. That's why only the ice is going to float on. Why the ice floats on water? So children, you take one glass of water and you take one ice cube and place it in water. Automatically the ice is going to be floating because the density of ice is less than water. That's why it's float. Next is, most liquids become more dense as you cool them. That means whatever the liquids you are cooling, then the density will increases. If you are heating them, the density will decreases. So here you can see, this is the way. That means that these bonds are going to be separated, hence the density becomes less. Next topic is soluble or insoluble. Soluble means the substances which dissolves in another substance. Insoluble means the substance that doesn't dissolve in another substance. Example, I'm taking water, a glass of water, and I'll take some salt or sugar. Pour it in that water. Take one spoonful of salt and pour it in water and stir it well. That means you take one spoon and stir it. Automatically, after some time, the salt particles doesn't see. Okay, we won't see the salt particles. That means the salt is dissolved in water. So here, the substances are called soluble substances. The substances which dissolves in water are called soluble substances. Example, salt you can take, sugar you can take, milk you can take. So many examples are there. So children, you do this experiment at home and check it whether the salt is dissolved in water or not, sugar or some other substances. Okay, examples here: sugar, salt, coffee, ethanol. Ethanol means, example I'm taking, a sanitizer. Okay, you pour it in water and stir it well. Automatically that is also dissolved. These are soluble substances. Next is insoluble substances. So to this, I am taking the same glass of water. Okay, you take some soil and pour it in water. That means in a glass, and stir it well. Keep it aside. Then you will see all the soil particles will settle down at the bottom of the beaker or at the bottom of the glass. That means here these soil particles doesn't dissolve in water. Hence these substances are called insoluble substances. Substances which doesn't dissolve in water are called insoluble substances. Example, sand. I said soil. You can take sand, chalk piece powder, soil, petrol, kerosene, so many. Okay, these are the examples. So take 2 glasses. Children, do this experiment. Take 2 glasses of water. Okay, in one glass you pour salt or sugar and stir it, and in one glass you take chalk piece powder or charcoal powder or sawdust. Sawdust means the dust that is going to obtain when you are cutting the trees. Okay, that dust, and stir it well and keep it aside. Sawdust, chalk piece powder, or you can take wheat flour, that means atta, and you check it which of the substance dissolves and which doesn't dissolves. Okay, by this we can say that these are the different types of soluble and insoluble substances. So here water dissolves different varieties of substances in it. So hence water is called universal solvent. In water, so many substances, solids will dissolve, liquids will dissolve, gases will dissolve. Hence, it is called a universal solvent. Why water is called universal solvent means because in water, wide variety of substances are dissolved in it. Hence, it is called universal solvent. So you see, solids will dissolve, liquids and gases. So gases example is oxygen and carbon dioxide. Gases are present in dissolved state in water. Example, I'm taking seawater. The animals that are present in water bodies. So they'll take the they will take the oxygen that is dissolved in water and gives out the carbon dioxide. The same carbon dioxide is taken by the plants, aquatic plants, the plants that are present under the water. Okay. So the universal solvent property of water is responsible for almost all the use of water, which makes the water a wonderful liquid. That means due to this property, that means universal solvent property, hence water is called a wonderful liquid. Water has innumerable applications in our daily life. That means where we are going to apply the water. The first is the solvent property of water is also responsible for water pollution. Okay. See, in water, so many different types of substances are dissolved. That's why it leads to water pollution. Example, the waste that is coming out from factories is mixed with the water, and that will lead to water pollution. And also, the universal solvent property of water is also responsible for almost all the use of water, which makes it wonderful liquid. So solvent properties of water, and in that water as a solvent. So here you see solids and liquids. So here in this solvent properties, so this water, why we are going to treat it as what universal solvent is, because in solids we'll use it for cleaning, cooking, digestion. That means whatever the water that we are drinking, okay, to digest our food, we'll drink water. Nutrition means you already know the energy that is we are going to obtain by taking the food. And salinity of seawater. Salinity of seawater means in seawater salt is present. To prepare the salt, even we are going to use this water. In gases, taste of water. So photosynthesis by the aquatic plants, respiration of aquatic plants, and killing of harmful germs and bacteria. So taste of water, by gases we'll get the taste. And photosynthesis and respiration in aquatic plants. Photosynthesis means they are going to prepare, the plants that are present inside the water prepare their own food by taking in carbon dioxide and giving out oxygen. Respiration is also same, utilization of food, and even some harmful bacteria is going to be killed. So here we see water is said to be transparent, colorless, tasteless liquid. How water has some taste? Explain. I already said water is transparent, colorless, and tasteless liquid. But some water has taste. So why? So here the question is, drinking water contains, that means when we are drinking, we'll get some taste. If it is a pure water, we won't get any taste. So in drinking water, some dissolved impurity, dissolved gases and salts are present. So that's why drinking water has some taste. You compare. See, if I am taking the water that is poured in car batteries, that won't have any taste because no more impurities are present. Whereas in drinking water, you see the tap water taste and the bore water taste. So in tap water taste, so the taste will be different and bore water taste, because bore water so many dissolved gases and salts are present. Whereas in tap water, some germs are going to be killed. Hence the taste will be different. Next is the taste of spring water is different from place to place. Why? Spring, we already know about the springs in previous classes. We already discussed about the spring water. Springs, that means the natural availability of water from the ground is called spring. So here in place to place, the spring water is different. Why? Because the water emerged from the underground. Underground water is collected by percolation of rainwater through layers of soil. So as it seeps, it dissolves mineral salts present in rocks and soils. Hence, the taste of spring water depends on nature of soil and rocks at that place. That means, see, at the time of rain, the water is going to percolate into the soil. As it passes through layers, okay, it dissolves mineral salts and also salts present in the soil and rocks. Hence, due to different types of salts and rocks, the water is good. Water will have different taste in different places, because in some place the salts will be more and in some places the salts will be less. Hence, so the taste of water of the spring will be different from place to place. And one more is, all rivers ultimately drains into seas. However, rivers are not saline while seawater is saline. Explain. See, we already know all rivers at last they are going to join into the sea only. Okay. But if you're tasting the river water and sea water, river water going to be salty. Saline means salty, whereas seawater is salty. Why? The reason is, as river water draining into the seas deposits suspended matter at the mouth, forming a delta, and carry only dissolved salts into seas. As a result, water becomes concentrated with dissolved salts. This imparts salinity to seawater. See, as rivers are going down, so and going down the seas, they deposit some matter that forms, that means all the suspended insoluble substances at one point. That point is called delta. Okay, only dissolved salts and water is going to mix, undissolved substances will be presented there. As the water is increased and as the concentration of salts is increases, hence the seawater becomes salt. So that's why river water is not saline and seawater is saline due to the concentration of salt that is mixed with the seas. Why well water is considered to be safer for consumption than river water? Okay, why well water is considered to be safe for drinking than river water? Well water is obtained by digging the wells in the soil up to the underground water table. That means up to underground, where availability of water in the earth, till that we will dig the well. Okay. So whereas in river water, in that way the water is collected by the percolation of rainwater through layers of soil and rocks. So that's why, see, we are digging the water to the groundwater table. Hence the water is going to seep through the layers of soil. Hence the water becomes pure. All the dissolved impurity, all the insoluble impurities are going to be struck by the layers of the soil. Only the pure water is present. As the water passes through layers of rocks and different layers, suspended germs are removed by filtration. All the suspended germs are going to be removed by filtration. As the layers are small, we all know about the filtration. Okay. As it passes to layers, all the suspended impurities are removed by the filtration. On the other hand, whereas the river water carries large amount of suspended impurities and microorganisms along with it. So that's why river water is not used for consumption, whereas the well water is used. Once again I'm saying, well water is going to be obtained by digging the soil at up to the groundwater level. So we already know, as the rainwater seeps into the soil, it passes through different layers of rocks and soil. So at that time, whatever the waste or whatever the suspended impurities are present, that are going to be filtered by these different types of layers and rocks. Whereas the river water doesn't have any layers. So hence, river water is unfit for consumption. So children, next class we will discuss about some more interesting topics of water. So have a good day. Thank you.